I struggle all the time in trying to keep up with technology. For example, how do you use the Boolean modifier to do a search? It may be very simple for a recruiter in LinkedIn or in Monster or Naukri or whatever it is, but I think that is extremely important to upskill ourselves in how to use technology. While, of course, intimate knowledge of business is very important, I think it's very important to understand economic policy. The winds of change are already there in India. You talked about the India context. So whether it is Make in India policy, whether it is defense offsets, I think it's very important to understand policy more, besides, of course, business. I've never understood why so much of money is spent on marketing to understand what customers are doing and not enough. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's very important to spend money in figuring out what your customers want. But not enough of efforts and energy is spent in understanding what your employees want. So all the surveys that we talk about are, if you ask me, pretty perfunctory. And the ability to bring out what the surveys are saying with great clarity, especially if it is the Gen Y, is very important. I find a huge connect between baby boomers and Gen Y. I'm not saying that because I need to be emotionally secure, but I think that there's a lot that is common. We talk about millennials and Gen Y in terms of people who are, not loyal, who flit around like butterflies and stuff. I think they're very serious people, and I think they need to be understood much better through the lens of what we baby boomers stood for earlier. Reskilling today, especially when you're talking about Gen Y in very command and control type of organizations, is extremely important because creating a culture of innovation, creating a culture of flatter, hierarchies of working together is very, very important. Integrating people into the organization is extremely important. I've heard people talking about badging, rebadging, talking about two-pay systems and so on. It's really a challenge when you're taking over people from another organization and amalgamating them into your culture. I think that is when you're reflagging a hotel, some of my colleagues here are from the hotel industry and IT industry, talks about badging and rebadging and two-pay, but that is a huge area. In L&T particularly, one of the good things of late that we've started is something called a technology leadership program, which is very connected to what is happening in terms of economic policy. You must have read in the papers that we too are in the fray for the electronic battlefields and things. And I think it's very, very important to nurture technology leaders for domain areas and think about how you can lead the talent building process dependent on where your company needs to go and where it is planning to go in terms of its strategy. So defense for us is going to be a big play, and therefore that is extremely important. I think employee value propositions, which is talked about, and how you can increase the premium of what the company can offer and not just depend on compensation, is something extremely tangible. And I think HR, along with line managers, can play a huge role. You talked about bell curve. I think bringing the conversation to the table, there are 3-4 companies now which are in the news, which are talking about why the bell curve should be junked, but bringing that conversation to the table and having great facilitation skills is very, very important as an HR professional. Lastly, and not least, I want to talk about my favorite topic, which is social psychology. Unfortunately, most of the inputs of social psychology are from the United States. It's becoming a very litigious kind of a society, and therefore the studies, whether it concerns Zimbardo or whether it concerns Milgram or whether it concerns stuff like what happened in Hawthorne, is becoming lesser and lesser. And I think we therefore, as HR folks, need to figure out how we can do these social psychology experiments within ethical boundaries ourselves in order to arrive at deep insights.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Yogi. So, Prabir, I think Yogi touched on many points. He talked about L&D, technology, and his favorite topic on social psychology, all impacting the HR directly or indirectly. So what do you think, do you really think India requires to revisit the skills of their HR folks?
So thanks, Vishali. The danger with generalizations is that they appear simple, but they can be very misleading. So I want to put that caveat up front when we say that should HR be reskilled, or as I would put it, upskilled, or in India is it relevant? I think the first caveat I'd like is let's not jump to a conclusion just because the world is going, or company X is going, or function Y is going, therefore HR should also be doing. So I just want to caveat that it must make sense. Even when we talk about upskilling, it's not to repudiate a lot of fundamentals that continue to be relevant. And in my mind, will continue to be evergreen, because those are fundamentals. But a lot of it is about where do you build, and how do you build, and what you build from there on. So no generalizations, that's my first comment. I think it's very important to be aware that when we discuss upskill or reskill HR, the danger, and that's what I was noticing even in your research, the danger is it is always interpreted purely and squarely as HR, the function. And this is one of the biggest myths of corporations. The challenge of HR inadequacy is a challenge of leadership, is a challenge for organizations, as much as it's a challenge for HR, the function. And I think to look at these two as very asymmetrical issues, I think I at least don't relate with it. I believe every organization, every country, every corporation, every age, every generation gets the HR it deserves. What you expect is what you'll get. So I don't come from a school of thought where I want to see myself as overly chest beating and saying that, oh, everything is kind of broken, because it's in a larger context. So these are some comments I wanted to lay up front. Having said that, yes, there is, like everywhere else, a case to reinvent, a case to reposition HR, acquire certain newer skills, and maybe refocus our priorities on where and what. Now, having said that, my personal counsel, again, is that it all depends on what is your operating requirement, challenge, and need. You have 5 of us sitting here. Some things could be common, some things could be very uniquely different. And therefore, to assume that because Yogi does something, so should it be done by Ram or by me, may not be true. And we shouldn't necessarily, therefore, replicate or sit in value judgment. And these are some of the cookie-cutter responses, therefore, that you find happening. Someone starts, everyone starts copying, but it does not make sense. So, I am deliberately in the opening trying to put more of our caveats to our conversation this evening, rather than saying everything needs to change. Of course, there are certain areas, a lot of what you mentioned, for example, are relevant. And we need to kind of make sure that as the world changes, as organizations change, HR in its entirety, the function and the leadership, will need to think of their roles as influencers of change, envisioning a newer environment, understanding what people really are saying and not saying. You still will continue to have an issue of employee championship. But I think the biggest role in all of that, and some of the things that you've shared, are really about enabling HR to be more effective, right? So is talent analytics important? By all means, yes, it is important. But that should not be the be-all and end-all of life. There is to be a larger outcome. And I therefore would believe, and I'll end it there for now, is that while we look at all the different things which we shall discuss today, we should not lose focus of the larger purpose. And the larger purpose is really about how do we grow successful businesses while helping people continue to feel more fulfilled. And this is the balance that I think HR will continue to do in more turbulent and ambiguous environments.
Thanks, Prabir. I think this is a very interesting point which you said. First, I really liked the upskilling part of it. I think it should be used rather than reskilling because it's definitely brings the positivity to it. What I hear you say, it's a mix of both. If it makes sense, you should do it. Just because someone else is doing or the world is doing, rather not rush to do or upskill ourselves. You also talked about the upskilling of HR, not just the requirement for HR. HR is critical, but also you talked about the leadership and the business being involved in that. So that's quite an interesting point. So Rajiv, what do we, what would you have to say in terms of this point?
I guess I must look for something to say which has not already been covered, and that's difficult. I believe that the basic focus has to be on unleashing potential in pursuit of whatever the purpose of the organization is. And therefore, the one thing that HR needs to do is not to get too carried away by complexity and technology. Of course you need technology, of course you need analytics, but I think in any situation, HR must remember that it is the whole brain that needs to be used. That you have to have the left brain, which is all the analytic stuff and the rationality, but equally you need to bring in the right brain, which is the brain of empathy and connection, because I think HR must not forget that we are human beings. I think in the mad rush to show how smart we are or how we need a place on the table along with finance and marketing, we forget our original purpose, which is that we are dealing with human beings. And I would like to suggest that even as we go about pursuing clever things like analytics, which of course we must, we should never forget that it's ultimately about unleashing potential of human beings. We must be human, and we must have the courage to stand up and be counted, and not just want to speak the language of finance or speak the language of marketing, which is all very important, but that's not what the HR function is there for. We need to understand that, we need to be integrated, but at the end of the day, we must stand up and have the courage to speak about how we need to deal with human beings who need purpose and meaning, and how do we unleash that potential. And one last point, I think we need to also remember that we operate in a system where we need to show concern for the larger ecosystem, the community, and I think that's something that I would like to stress, that let HR not become too obsessed only with white-collar people. We need to address blue-collar requirements, and we equally need to address the communities around us. I think I've spoken more than I should. I wish I could have followed the KISS principle, but I think I'm getting the HR disease of becoming very complex and clever.
Rajiv, I think we started by coming into the organization with a purpose of the care, taking care of people. So what we are hearing you say is, while technology is critical, the left and the right brain balance needs to be there, and we are here for purpose, and we should have our primary responsibility fulfilled. You also touched upon a very critical point, and blue-collar workforce is very, very critical for organization, and especially for the sectors which many of you all are representing. And HR, I think, has to play a far more robust role than what probably some of us are doing for this part of the organization. So here I come to Ram. Ram, you always come up with very interesting points, and I'm really waiting to see what you would have to say on this topic. I'm sure many of you all are waiting to see what Ram has to say on this topic.
See, as they say, some of us are prisoners of our image, right? So it's like Shiva comes out, he will do something, not necessarily that way. My point on a few of these see, whenever we use trends, researches and all, we have to be careful, right? A reported preference survey is a dangerous survey. So when you go to people and ask, do you want to drink coffee, is one thing. It's another thing is to say, if you put your hand in your pocket and buy a coffee, it is different. Will you buy a coffee for many other people, is different. So I have serious worries when we go to this reported preference manner of survey is not unreliable or valid. Take it with a pinch of salt, right? Including Psephology has told us over the last 30-40 years, be very careful in terms of how you look at analytics. Analytics in itself is neither good nor bad. Like Rajiv said, the human mind which looks at that, some of us sit there and look at a number and think that is true. And then we have the problem of losing an election. Yeah, we better be careful about that, right? Between reported behavior and that's one caution I want to put on the table about whatever it is. Second, you need to ask the question. Can anybody, if you go and ask the question by saying, do you need to know more? Will anybody say no? Is it humanly possible for anybody to say no? So now that's the question we are asking. Should HR reskill? I worked for 31 years. This is my 31st year. If I sit through this, and I only will request if we can pick up 31 years of these kind of trends and we put together, right? Would there be anything different we will see from what it was told to me in 1985 that HR should reskill, HR should be more business friendly, HR folks are administrators, HR posts are not operational, are not strategic people, they are not respected. Go on, no. I've heard it for 31 years this now. And to me, it angers me. You know, it almost says that the people sitting on this table have not lived their life worthwhile. We have failed ourselves, failed our institutions, and there are lots of people like us who are there. There are damn bloody good HR people who are all over India for ages. So first of all, we have to stop, this masochistic tendency we have. We keep coming back and beating. Somebody tells us this thing and we beat ourselves like